This course is presented to you free of charge by TTJ Tech Services of www.ttjtech.biz and by Stir It Up of www.stiritup.com. And remember, stir is spelled with a U, not an I, so that's STURITUP.com. TTJ Tech Services and Stir It Up are pleased to offer this course to you to the glory of God and to the benefit of all those who listen. Well, praise God and welcome to Voiceover In and Out. This is session number 9 today. Switch gears on you a little bit and share some kinds of show and tells here that are little areas of iOS that I think don't really necessarily warrant an entire class period, an entire session, but that should not be neglected. And then Wednesday, of course, we have an experience lab. There are several things sort of on the agenda to talk about today in these kind of little areas. And the first one I'd like to discuss is the share sheet. Now, we actually demoed this just a bit a week or two ago, but I'd like to talk a little bit more about it to give you more of an overview of exactly what the share sheet is and why it's so important. So the share sheet, available in many, many different apps, is a menu of options that allow you to do several things. For one thing, it allows you to share, as its name suggests, whatever it is that you're working on with other people. But it doesn't stop there, because if you look at a share sheet, as we will do in a moment, you'll see that it also has options to open whatever kind of file you're working on in another app, or to take other actions like printing a document and things of that nature. So the exact options then in the share sheet will differ depending on the kind of project or document or file or what have you that you're working with. And similarly, the choices in the share sheet will depend on what other apps you have installed on your device. So I want to just take a moment and go over this, because the share sheet is typically divided up into 3 sections. The first section of the share sheet is typically your sharing suggestions or your suggested people. Now, this has a lot to do with several factors. For one thing, the most recent people that you have been in communication with, especially in the Messages app, will show up in the share sheet. Another thing is, depending on the kind of file that it is, you may get different sharing suggestions. If you have a photo, for example, and your device is able to tell who is in the photo, it may suggest that you share that photo with that person. Or if there's a certain person you always share, let's say, your notes with, or something of that nature. So again, machine learning here, right? That makes these sharing suggestions relevant. And then the second area of the share sheet is just overall sharing, different ways that you can send your document or your project to other people. Messages app, the Mail app, if you have Facebook installed, or X, formerly Twitter, or other types of things, you can choose these different options. And I'm going to come back to that in a second. So just sort of keep a placeholder, a mental note there in your mind with that second section of the share sheet. But then the third section of the share sheet has a lot to do with, again, certain other apps, as well as copying, printing, and even saving to the Files app, which the Files app we will learn about in a couple of weeks. We haven't directly taught that yet, but it's coming. Now, I also want to go back to something I said. Remember, I said make a mental note of this. We're going to come back to it in that second section where we can share with people in different ways using different apps and so on. There are two ways you can share most types of things on your iPhone. One is collaboratively, and the other is sending a copy. When you collaborate, now I will say very quickly, not every file type supports collaboration, but many do. Many do. And so when you share something collaboratively, that means that both you and the person with whom you're sharing can work together, and you can work even in real time in many cases. And the changes that one of you makes are reflected on everybody's devices. So you can have collaborative documents, you can have collaborative notes, excuse me. You can have collaborative presentations and spreadsheets. There's all sorts of different kinds of ways that you can collaborate on different files. And then the other option is simply to send a copy of a particular file to the other person with no collaboration. Now, when you collaborate, the person will get a link to open what you've sent them. You also can decide with collaboration whether or not the other person is able to make changes or whether you just want them to see it. And also whether anyone with the link can access the file or whether it's only the people you invite. So you have collaboration options too to really refine how this works. And you, even when you add multiple people, you can decide each person's role, whether they can edit or just read only. Also, I would point out to you that when you are collaborating, there are other ways within your messages app, for example, within an iMessage conversation, to see what you're collaborating on and to continue to work right from there. So it's very powerful. We're not going to show every aspect of it today because we have some other things we want to show you as well. But we're going to start with this. So I'd like to show you the share sheet or the share menu in a few different apps. You typically get to it by locating a share button, or it might sometimes be called more. For folks who are not using VoiceOver, you might see 3 dots. That ellipsis often represents the share button or the more button. And sometimes there's almost an image of like a piece of paper that's like going out from the device so that it shows that it's going somewhere to other people. So let's go ahead. I've got my iPhone, of course, and we're going to give you a few examples of share sheets.
Music.
All right. I'm on my home screen here. I think we'll begin with notes. We've already talked a little about notes.
Notes.
Oh, praise God.
Folders. Heading.
And I'm going to open a specific note here.
2020. Block. Call of Devotion. Faith Summit. Family Fun.
Oh, let's see. Let's go.
Hey,
scroll up with 3 fingers here.
TTJ team.
All right.
Tags. TTJ. One up. Select folders button.
Can I open something from here? Yeah, here's the test we did the other day on our advanced editing. We'll use that.
Advanced editing. Good testing. Modified Monday. Hello there, everybody.
Okay, double tap.
October 23rd.
All right, we've opened that. Now, you might remember we saw a share button in here, and I'm going to show you right now again. If we go to the top right here.
More button, share button.
There it was, just to the left.
Double tap to add people to the current note.
All right, so what we did was we went to the top right, we found more, and we swiped 1 to the left, and there's the share button. Well, let's double tap and see what we get.
Advanced editing, good test. Advanced editing, good testing.
All right, this is the name of the note that we're sharing. That's where our cursor has landed. Sometimes there are actions available on the name, and you can make other changes, but it did not say actions available, so I'm going to say there probably aren't, but we can swipe up and down with 1 finger to make sure.
Heading not, heading
Yep, there are no actions. Let's swipe to the right.
Collaborate button.
All right, so right now it is set on collaborate. That is a button. If you want to change it from collaborate to send a copy, you double tap on that.
Collaborate button. Send copy button. Dismiss context menu button.
See, you've got 2 options there, collaborate and send copy. We're going to leave it alone, so we're going to
dismiss context menu.
Okay.
Advanced editing, good test, collaborate button.
Again, don't be confused. What that's telling you is that's already what's selected is collaborate. It's not saying you're currently sharing, but if you want to collaborate, you hit that button. No, it's reading the current state of that button. It's either collaborate or send copy, but it's already on collaborate. So that's what it's telling you. And if you want to change it, again, you double tap on that button and then you would select send copy. In this case, we're going to leave it alone for now. Let's swipe to the right and see what we have. We should see our sharing suggestions.
Only invited people can edit.
Okay, it's telling us.
Forward button.
Now listen, that's a button as well. Listen to that again.
Only invited people can edit. Forward button.
And that's a button that's going to allow you to change what your options are. That it's only right now, it's only invited people can edit. So maybe you want anyone with a link can view, but not edit. Probably if you make it public or if you make it, just anybody with a link, you probably would not want to give editing permissions. Then you'd want to say only view, but maybe you want to give individual people a permission to edit, or there are different options. So that's a button you can go into and you can make those changes and make those selections as you see fit. Now,
close button.
There's the close button if we've decided that we don't actually want to do this. But let's keep going now.
Carson Vollbrecht, suggestion button.
Okay, so this is a list of suggestions. This is the sharing suggestions section that I mentioned to you. It's got a whole bunch of names in it.
Kylie Vollbrecht, Jessica Vollbrecht.
And there's family I've been in, obviously communications with pretty constantly. So they are at the top of the list.
Mom, suggestion.
There's my mom. And you can see
Megan Wizzle, suggestion button. Clip, Fred, Walter, Edward, Jeffrey, Viola, airdrop.
Okay, lots and lots of names, right, that I've been in touch with that it thinks maybe I want to share. And it's pretty much one tap. I mean, you choose that option. It'll pick the best method, most likely messages here. It'll already have the message composed. And then really all I have to do is hit send. So it's not quite one tap, but it's pretty close. I can add a comment into the message edit field if I want to. But I just choose the person and it's that easy. Now, if you keep going, we're going to enter into our second section here, airdrop, which has in it several options.
Airdrop button.
Airdrop is the first option. Now, if there were available airdrop users, they would show up as well. And probably you would just see them in this list. Airdrop is close proximity file sharing. We might call it peer-to-peer file sharing. In other words, two people in the same room and you want to send something to that other person and this is going to send it directly. They don't even need to be on the same Wi-Fi network as you because AirDrop kind of creates its own on-demand Wi-Fi network when it's needed. You just need to make sure both people have Bluetooth enabled, both people are signed into iCloud, and you need to make sure that the person you're sending to has AirDrop turned on, either for contacts only if you're in their contacts, or for everyone. If they have receiving off, they're not going to show up in the list of AirDrop recipients. But if they're in this list, you just double tap on their name. It gives them the option to accept what you've sent them, and it's pretty straightforward, and they receive the file you've sent. And that's AirDrop. And now in iOS 17.1, we actually can AirDrop over the internet as well. If we lose our local proximity, it can continue over Wi-Fi and so forth if it needs to. So that's a new feature. Don't confuse this with name drop, which is specifically bringing two devices together to share a contact. And in certain cases, when you bring two devices together, you even have a share play option. Like if you're listening to music and both people want to listen together, sort of like you do over FaceTime. So there are other sort of iterations of this that are built on that same technology, but this is specifically AirDrop for sharing what we've selected here, this note. All right, let's look at some of the other sharing options now.
AirDrop, messages, mail, Facebook, Messenger, button, reminders, button, Amber, button, Amazon, button, journal, button, invite with link, button, drive, button, Amazon Alexa, button, more, button.
Now, some of these in my mind, as I'm sitting here thinking about them, they don't really make a lot of sense. Like, how would you share a note with the Amazon shopping app? I don't really know, why that may not really apply in this case. It may just be in the list. but a lot of these do. A lot of them apply. Now, one thing I'll remind you is that the way it's set right now is collaborate, not send copy. So if you choose one of these options like messages or something, what you're actually sending to the other person is a link to open this file in iCloud. It's going to send them a link and say, Matthew has invited you to share in this document or to view this note or whatever. And then when they click open, it's going to bring that same file onto their devices as well. And they'll be able to access it then in their Notes app in this case, because it's a note, but it'll open that for them. But they can go back later and they can go to the Notes app and continue to access it as long as you continue to give them permission. And if you revoke their permission, it goes away, but otherwise it's still there. And okay, basically then, if it's the way it's set right now, if they make any changes, those changes are going to reflect on your device as well. So, or all of your devices. So this is the way that collaboration works, okay? Now, if we were to have changed that to send copy instead of collaborate, what would happen is with notes specifically, it would just put the text of the note into a message or into an email. That's not the same with other kinds of documents. Some of them it will send an actual copy that they can open, but with notes, unless you collaborate, it's just going to put the text into the message, basically. But we are set to collaborate. So when you hear these options, just keep that in mind, that it's really the link to open the note that is being sent. So maybe that's why they think you could use it in Amazon. I don't know. But anyway, all these other options, they make sense. Now we see the More button. We can customize these. And then we're going to get into that third and final section of the share sheet.
Open in Pages button.
So
Copy.
it is, oops, I missed copy.
More.
Sorry.
Copy button.
Copy that note to the clipboard.
Open in Pages button.
Open in Pages. It's possible to actually open a note in Apple Pages, which is the full-fledged word processing and page layout app. So we can bring our note into there to do some more editing.
Markup button.
We can mark up this note.
Print button.
We can print this note.
Print with HP Smart button. Search with Google Lens button. Describe with Be My Eyes button. Download file button. Edit actions button. Edit action.
And then you can edit the actions. If we don't want to do any of this, we just tap like up above it here.
Dismiss pop-up.
And it says dismiss.
Activate to dismiss pop-up window.
And just double tap that. Or we could Z scrub out of this with 2 fingers too. Okay.
TTJ back button.
All right, so that's one example. I'm going to go back there to get out of that note.
TTJ back button. TTJ advanced editing, good testing.
Okay, so that's one example of a share sheet. Whenever you experience that, you'll know what you're looking at. Now let's go to another example. Let's go to my Messages app, okay? And I'm going to go to a message where my daughter sent me a photo.
Doc Messages. Double tap. Edit button. Conversations. Kylie pinned. Messages. App. Kylie yesterday. Kylie Alexa Volbrecht includes picture. You loved this. 10:07 p.m. Button. Image. Swipe up or down to select a custom action, then double tap to activate an orange and yellow logo on the white background. I'm on a 669-day learning streak. Duolingo.
So, VoiceOver did an excellent job of describing that image to me and even reading the text in that image. We'll talk about how to make that happen when we teach the Photos app here in a couple of weeks. But my daughter does Duolingo. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a language learning app, and each day you do like a 5 or 10 minute lesson, and she wanted to do that. She's learning Spanish that way. And what she does after she completes it is she sends me the photo that tells me what her streak is, and she's done it now for 669 days in a row. And so that's what that said there. That's what it was telling us. And so she sends that to me every day. Now, if I want to view that as a larger photo, again, this is Messages, I can just double tap on it.
Back button. Photo. Actions menu. Button. Done. Button. Photo. Image. Swipe up or down to select a custom action, then double tap to activate an orange logo and text on a white background. I'm on a 669-day learning streak. Duolingo.
Now, you heard there was a done button, so when we're finished with this, we know how to get out of it. But I'm looking right now
Toolbar, share button.
for that. That's my share button. So I want to open the share menu here.
Photo, actions menu, Duolingo_sharing. Heading not PNG image, middle dot, 72 kilobytes. Heading not
no actions on this either.
Close button.
There's the close button. First of all, our sharing suggestions.
Matthew's iPad 3 suggestion button.
And that's an AirDrop suggestion right at the top of the list because the iPad is here. It's awake. It's open, and I don't need to AirDrop that, but I could do that.
Jessica Volk, Carson, Mom, Jennifer, Diane Hart,
and some of these people are different this time. So
Amber Clark, Mecca White, George.
I don't know if you realize that.
Family chat, Jessica, Nicole, Jeffrey, AirDrop.
There's some more people there, so it may think that they're more interested in a photo than a note based on past conversations and so forth. All right, let's keep going.
AirDrop. Messages button, mail button, Facebook Messenger button.
All right, so far very, very much the same, but let's keep going.
Notes button.
This one, we can actually open notes and we can add this photo as an attachment to either a new note that we create right now or to an existing note that we already have. So that is an option.
Reminders button.
Add it to reminders.
Amber button.
The recipe app.
Amazon button.
Again, Amazon.
Journal button. Books button.
The Apple Books app.
Drive button.
Google Drive.
More button.
All right, here's where some things are going to start to look different now.
Copy button. Save photo button.
So save photo is going to save this photo to our actual photo library. In my case, that's in iCloud. And so this would get saved with all of my other photos and videos. And then, of course, it would sync across to all of my devices, which it's already on all of my devices because I use iCloud for iMessage as well for messages. But, there you go.
Assign to contact button.
Because it's a photo, you can assign it to a contact if you want this to be somebody's contact poster.
Print button.
Print it out.
Add to new quick note button.
You can make a new quick note with this photo.
Add to shared album button.
You can add it to a shared album that other people can view.
Create watch face button.
You can use this photo to create a watch face for your Apple Watch, okay?
Save to files button.
Save to files. And by the way, saving the photo to the photo library is different than saving it as a file to your Files app. So there's, again, we're going to learn about the Files app in a couple of weeks, but you can see the difference there.
Print with HP process in Prismo button.
And process in Prismo is a different option. That allows us to take photos and turn them into, text and things of that nature.
Search with Google Lens. Describe with Be My Eyes. Download file. Edit actions. Edit actions. Dismiss pop-up. Photo. Done button. Messages.
Now, some of those were the same and some were different, of course. Now, I want to point out a couple of those options that we saw there. There was print and then there was print with HP Smart. Why do we have both of those? Well, we have both of those because we happen to have the HP Smart app installed on this device. And basically that gives you maybe some different options. But typically when we want to print, we just use the regular print option. And as long as you have almost every printer nowadays is compatible. So as long as you have a printer probably made within the last, 10 years, you're going to have the ability to print using your iPhone and iPad in this way. That's called AirPrint, for those who want to know. That's the name of that feature. But you can see that was a share sheet again. It was just a slightly different share sheet from the first time because it had, different options because it's a different file type, right? And we could go on and on with this. I'll demo it again when we get to the Files app and how we can collaborate again with files or even entire folders. And it's a beautiful system. The collaboration is just incredible. And it's something that I remember before you had collaboration of folders in the Files app. We were so excited when we finally got it because just changes everything. You can work together with other people and it's so convenient. And so collaboration is really cool. Now, I think if I go to a message conversation where I've already collaborated with people,
back button.
You might have to bear with me. This might take a few minutes, or not minutes, but a few seconds to find the collaboration options, because it's going to
861
go back a ways.
Mom, just mom. Okay.
All right, let's
86.
definitely.
Mom. Okay.
Now let's do this now.
You're
Okay, so I'm in a message conversation with my mom, who I know I've collaborated with before. And
mom.
Let's look up here.
67% FaceTime. Harrisburg. Kathy Volbrecht. Button.
Well, that's near the top. Let's double tap that.
Allow alert. Allow messages to use your location. You can send your location to someone in an iMessage. My location. Precise. Allow while using app. Button.
I want to point out here.
Precise. On. Button.
Precise means it's your exact location. You can turn that off, and then it's just approximate. I would be careful about what apps you adjust that for. An app like Maps or Weather needs your precise location, and apps like Voice Memos really don't, okay? And then
allow while using app. Button.
Now.
Messages. Done. Button. Activate to dismiss pop-up window. Conversation details. Kathy call. Video. Mail. Button. Info. Button. Map. Camden Court. Verify who you are messaging with. From Matthew Grayson Volbrecht. Attachment. Sample lesson plan. 12/5/21. From Matthew Grayson Volbrecht. Attachment. ACE Academy Online iOS Lesson Plan Sample November 2021. 12/5/21. Button. Actions available. And there they are. Right down at the bottom of the details of this conversation are all these different documents we've collabed on. Let's try and go further. Verify who you are. Turn on contact. Download. Button. 2 images in iCloud. Your 2 images in iCloud. From Matthew Grayson Volbrecht. Attachment. Titanic Book W Gallery. 3/16/21. Button. And if you go copy, share, delete, drag item, activate, default. These look like attachments. Actually, I assume they're collaborative, though. Let's see. From Kathy Volbrecht, video, Charity Gill, okay, that's a video. From Matthew Grayson Volbrecht, Buffalo Chicken Skillet Dip, ambi.sc. From Kathy Volbrecht, video, Halloween Buffalo. From Kathy Volbrecht, speaker Mike Johnson. From Matthew Grayson Volbrecht, photo, January 22nd. From Matthew, from Matt. Okay, some of those are not necessarily collaborative, but I think some of them are. Here's one I know is 09082023. DDD, numbers spreadsheet, 1 image, button, open link, hide, copy, delete, drag item, activate. So we can actually be collaborating right in the iMessage conversation. I could just double tap on that. It would open for me. This is something we've already collaborated on, and we can continue to work together. And if you're in the app that you're collaborating with, like Pages or Numbers, you can continue and you can jump right into the conversation. So this is very, very integrated, very tightly. And I just wanted to show you that. Mom, done, button. So then hit done, and let's go back. All right. So these share sheets are really, really useful. And I can't stress enough how useful the share sheet is. And you'll find these in tons of different apps, right? When you receive, as we did here, an attachment in the Messages app, a photo somebody sends you or what have you. When you receive an attachment in your email and you double tap at that attachment at the bottom of and by the way, we are going to spend some time in the Mail app in a week or so. But when you do get an attachment in emails and you open that attachment, you'll find a share option. And even if your only intention is to save that attachment to the Files app, that's where you're going to find it, is under the share menu, the share sheet. So these are really good. I would highly encourage you to spend some time with them, because they do offer some options that you otherwise would not know about. It's a great way to be able to open one thing in another app, and not always the only way to do it, but definitely a very convenient way to do it. All right, so I told you we had a bunch of little things today, and that's one of them, the share sheets, and I wanted to make sure we covered that. Another little thing that is really not a little thing at all, it's actually quite a big thing, but our discussion of it is going to be
pretty minimal. I didn't want to neglect talking about Siri for a moment. Now, we've talked about Siri already in this class. I've even demonstrated or described the process of using Siri to create things like calendar events and reminders. And I've told you that if you really want the most granular control you can possibly have, that you should, for example, go into the calendar app and create the event there, because you'll have a lot more choices than what you can just say. And certainly you also have the option, if you do end up creating it with your voice, that you can then go back in and double check it and so forth. But I don't want to mislead you, and I don't want you to think that that Siri's not useful, because she is extremely, extremely useful. And I use her every single day, multiple times throughout the day. Whether it's something, as simple as this, and I'm just going to hold down the side button rather than say her name, because I don't want every device in the world to go off here. And not only that, but if I say her name, it may go off on the HomePod instead of the phone here. So whether it's something like this, where I might ask her, is the garage door closed?
The main garage door is closed.
Is the coffee maker on?
The coffee maker is off. Should I turn it on?
No, thank you. This is done through a variety of what is known as HomeKit accessories that we have to make this possible. The garage door is the Chamberlain MyQ garage door opener, which we talked a little about the smart home, by the way, in our Tuesdays with TTJ session on the HomePod, just a tad about it. I'm going to be doing a presentation soon on the smart home and the specific devices that we have. Trainer Cliff has some as well, so I'm sure he'll be happy to contribute his thoughts on that also. And we're going to be releasing in just a couple of weeks our 2023 TTJ holiday gift guide, and we will have a reveal date for that. And it'll be just in time for for Thanksgiving, for the Black Friday, shopping that you might want to be doing. But many of those items, though not all, will certainly be smart home devices. So we've got a ton of them. But the garage door, I was able to ask about that because of the Chamberlain MyQ garage door opener with the HomeKit bridge. The coffee maker, I was able to ask about that because of a smart plug. The one I have is the Wemo Mini with thread, specifically designed for HomeKit. It doesn't need a separate app at all. You just use the Apple Home app with it, and it works very, very well. There are plenty of other HomeKit and non-HomeKit smart plugs out there. That's one of my favorites. It's very tiny. It gets out of the way, so your other outlet is still free. Works great with HomeKit. And all I have is I don't mean all I have in a negative way. Praise God, it's exactly what I wanted. It was the favor of God that I found the thing. But what we have is, I'm trying to get across to you that we didn't spend, $200 on some kind of advanced coffee maker. We have like a $20 coffee maker from Hamilton Beach. I got it for even a little bit less because it happened to be the model that was like sitting on the shelf, right? And it was the only one they had left of that. Why did I pick that model? Well, because if you want to control something with a smart plug, you need a device with a hardware on-off switch, or a device that is always on. So, all these coffee makers that you can program and everything, that's not what you want if you want to make it smart, because the programming is done now from your iPhone instead, which is far more accessible for us. And so for about, I don't know what I paid for it, but let's say $20, for about $20. And then that smart plug I mentioned to you, I believe you can get for about $20 to $25, just depending on where you get it. And so for under $50, I have a smart coffee maker that I can use my voice to turn it on and off. I can program it using automations and scenes. Won't get into what all that is today, but maybe at some point we will, and certainly in our smart home presentation. And so we can, program that. For example, I can use an automation, because it depends on the weekdays. My wife and my kids go to school during the school year, of course. My wife teaches, and so from like late August to late May, they are teaching, and most days they're going to school, but not weekends and not holidays and stuff. And then my schedule is very flexible because some days I start early with various things, other days, not so much. And it just depends on the day. So we don't usually have a set time for the coffee on the weekdays, but on Sundays, our family goes to church. That's what we do. And so we do have the ability to say, well, okay, I'm going to have the coffee ready at 8:15 a.m. every Sunday morning. And so it'll do that. And you can even set it to automatically turn off, so you don't have to remember that when you leave or just after a certain period of time. And you can also even say, well, this automation will run only if somebody is home. So if the family goes to the beach for a weekend, or the weekend, we're not there on a Sunday, then it won't turn on and it won't try to make the coffee with an empty coffee pot. So this is just amazing what you can do with this stuff. And that's just a tad little bit of a rabbit trail there, but I thought it was worth talking about. So the reason I was able to ask about those things with who SIRI is because of these different accessories for the smart home that we have, and we have tons of them. We have we have the thermostat, which is great because you can set the temperature, change the mode from cool to heat or heat to cool. This time of year, sometimes we experience all 4 seasons in the same day. Yesterday, I think our high was in the 60s or 70s. It was close to 80 a couple of days ago. Tomorrow, we're not going to get out of the 40s. There's a big plunge coming, and we'll be in the 30s tomorrow night. May even get a snow flurry. So you can see how important it is to be able to switch the mode, but you can adjust the temperature. And of course, that thermostat's obviously connected to a heat pump. It's not just the thermostat, but we understand that. So we've got smart locks and the smart doorbell and a camera that I'm testing out right now that may go in the holiday gift guide. And all these work with HomeKit. I have others that don't work with HomeKit too, which I've chosen for various reasons. But you are able to use that personal assistant we like, that I'm not going to say the name of, and I can use her for a lot of other things too, right? So
home weather next.
How many gallons are in 7 cups?
7 cups is 0.44 gallons.
All right, so not even a full gallon there. Let's try this. Who was president of the United States in 1963?
John F. Kennedy was the 35th President of the United States, 1961 to 1963, the youngest man elected to the office. This answer is from whitehouse.gov.
What else can I ask? There was a question that we asked yesterday that we got a nice... Oh, I know. Yeah. But I'm not going to probably remember the names of the people. My daughter saw an actor or an actress and asked if he or she was related to another actor or actress, and Siri was able to give that answer just like that. And I thought that was cool, but I'm not going to probably remember the name. To try something like this. Is it safe for a dog to eat blueberries?
Okay, I found this on the web for is it safe for a dog to eat blueberries? Check it out.
So what that did...
Show Google results. Fruits and vegetables dogs can or can't eat. American Kennel Club, August 20th, 2021, ellipsis.
What that did was that gave us some web results, and I interrupted it before it would have given you the answer, but I heard it say, yes, dogs can eat blueberries. I already knew that to be true. Our dog likes blueberries a lot. Our dog eats just about anything we give her. But she does enjoy blueberries, and they're kind of funny because it's sort of like having a toy and a treat all in one, because she'll play with it first and roll it around, and then finally, when she's had enough of that, she'll eat it, and then she'll be back for another one. So I knew it was safe, but you can do things like that. You can do I'm just trying to think of random different examples, but you get the idea that Siri's very, very robust. How do you say, what time are we having lunch in Spanish?
In Spanish, what time are we having lunches? ¿A qué hora vamos a almorzar?
And it shows you that on the screen if you need to hear it again or anything, or get more information, read it character by character. You can certainly see that and tap on it on the screen. And we can use her to open apps. We can use her to find movies and shows. We can use her to find nearby places. I'm looking for a pizza place near me.
One option is Best Way Pizza on East South Hopewell Street in Everett, a little over a mile to your east. Does that one sound good?
And I stopped her, but I could have said yes, and she'd give me directions and business information, or let me call, or whatever. There's just so much. I'm not gonna spend too much more time on this because we could do it for hours. But she does very well, and you can ask for web results. You can ask for recipes, and you can ask all sorts of questions. And really, there's also some, of course, some humorous things that you can do too. What is 1 divided by 0?
If something is divided by nothing, then there's nothing to divide it with, and the division never happened. So my answer is no.
What's the meaning of life?
Depending on who you ask, life could be about taking your favorite ring back from some nasty hobbitses.
What? Make me a sandwich.
Well, I'm software, so that's not really something that's on my plate the way it is for a person.
Will you marry me?
I really like what we have now, where you ask me stuff, and I tell you stuff. Yeah, that's the stuff.
So, I mean, you can do really goofy things just to have fun with her. Or you can, something like this. Tell me a joke.
People often accuse me of being a plagiarist. Their words, not mine.
Wow. Okay. All right. I think that's about where we ought to stop. So it's good. So she does a really nice job, and that obviously was silly stuff there at the end, but more practical things, and just whatever, and have some fun. And there are actual games too that you can do. I demonstrated one, I think, when we did the HomePod demo, the true or false game. There's several different games that she has, and then, of course, Siri gets even better with shortcuts. But it's important to understand that shortcuts are not just limited to Siri. There's more you can do with them than that, too. But that's definitely part of the extensibility, right? Is that a lot of the apps that you have. So, for example, I mentioned when we did the HomePod discussion, an app called Amber. It's actually Ombre is the correct way. It's AMBRE. It's the Spanish word for hunger or hungry. But because we have to use it with SIRI, I just prefer to say Amber because that's how she says it. And if you don't say it that way, she won't understand what you're saying. But it allows you to actually speak to her, and you say, like, Amber, next instruction. So when you're cooking, you can have your recipe going, and you can, without even being in the app, hands free, you can use your HomePods and say Amber, next instruction. Say her name first, SIRI, of course, and then say Amber, next instruction, or Amber, ingredients, and she'll read you whatever correct syntax is there, but she'll read you the next cooking instruction or tell you what ingredients you need. And then, you can have a timer immediately set and all this. So really, really nice, really good features. And of course, one of the things that I sometimes do is I sometimes use the personal assistant there to set timers and alarms, or to send or read messages. So, I easily can send a message here.
Face ID.
And I can send a message to trainer Cliff, and I can say, tell Cliff I'm just doing a demo of Siri now, so I'm sending you this message.
To Cliff.
I accidentally bumped it. Sorry about that. I bumped. Okay. Tell Cliff I'm just doing a Siri demo now.
To Cliff, I'm just doing a Siri's demo now. Send it?
Yes.
Done.
Thank you.
Of course.
That brings up a good reminder. You got to be careful, because what happens is Siri takes follow-up requests like that, and if she hears noise, she may stop talking to listen to you. And I kind of touched the speaker there. And so what I did was I accidentally interrupted Siri. Now I got the message and VoiceOver already read it, but I'm just going to go ahead and use Siri here. Read my messages.
Cliff said sounds good. Would you like to reply?
No, thanks.
That's all your messages.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. So, yeah. So anyway, sending messages, reading messages, all sorts of, again, we could spend hours and hours, right? Okay. We won't go into all that. You can play with Siri on your own, but I did want to take some time because it is worth talking about. I believe that it's not the end all be all. I believe you have to learn how to operate your device in the other ways too, which is why we spend all these weeks teaching you this stuff. I think if somebody's only using SIRI, they're limiting themselves, of course. But I also, don't want to give you the wrong impression. Okay. I think that she's fantastic and does a great job. And I, use her every day. So there's lots of good ways that we can do that. And those are just a few examples of things that we can do. All right. What's next on my list of little things that don't really need their own entire class, but that certainly could use a few minutes? Well, I want to talk briefly. We kind of already showed you the media apps from a perspective of how they were set up, like music and TV and books. They're all sort of set up the same as each other. For example, if I go into music,
3:21 p.m. Doc music.
You'll remember that there are tabs across the bottom.
Tab bar. Listen now. Browse. Radio. Library. Selected. Search. Tab.
And it's very, very easy to use these apps. So you can search for something. You can go into Listen Now. You can go into Radio. And Radio is a very interesting... well, I should check it out, I guess, because maybe it's changed, but I don't think so. Let's just go.
Selected. Radio.
Up to the top.
Radio, my account, Apple Music 1, the new music that matters. Live, 3:05 p.m., The Edvo Show, program schedule, play, button, Apple Music hits, songs you know and love. Live, 2:04 p.m., The Estelle Show, program schedule, play, button, Apple Music Country, where it sounds like home. Live, 3:04 p.m., Apple Music Country, where it sounds like home.
Now, these are...
a logo with text and an illustration of an airplane on it. Country.
These
Apple
are
Music
the live radio stations, but if I go to headings...
vertical nav headings. Heading not found.
And that's what I was going to say. Sometimes the heading navigation is a bit hit or miss because this is such a long screen. You might need to scroll 3 fingers up and down instead. And
page 3 of 14. Head program schedule. Play. But heading not recently played. Heading.
See, there are headings, but it's just they're so far apart that VoiceOver doesn't always see that. Here's your recently played.
Matthew Vaughn, Katy Perry, King Kylie, Robin Mark, and similar artist station.
Now, if we want to go...
explore image, drag item, and or at page 4 of 14. Activate Apple Music Country, where it's new episodes, button, heading not
okay.
Apple Music.
And then if I keep going, 14. It says there's 14 pages. I want to go near the bottom. This, by the way, has not only the live radio stations, but it has the Apple sort of, I mean, the best way to say it is they're curated stations based on genre, based on, those kinds of things. And it also has third-party radio stations from like iHeart and TuneIn. But if I go further down,
page 5 of 4, Lost in page 11 of 14, Kyoku Station.
We're probably getting close to the genres, which is what I want to show you.
Page 12 of 14, 1 FM, BBC Radio 2, Smooth 95.3 from TuneIn. Button.
See, these are some TuneIn ones.
Or add more. 1 F BBC Radio Capital. Radio BBC Smooth F Radio RFM Madama Radio make 100% workout.
I'm sure we're almost there. I could scroll again.
Page 13 of 4 hits by decade. Button.
Okay.
Hip hop, slap, dance.
Yep.
Country.
There you go.
Classical, Christian, alternative. More to explore. Heading.
More to explore. Now listen to this here.
alternative and indie, button, Christian, button, classical, country, dance, electronic, from around the world, hip-hop/R&B, hits by decade, holiday, jazz, kids and family, Latin, metal, pop, but reggae, rock, but singer/songwriter, vertical scroll
and
bar.
you get the idea. And there's a vertical scroll bar at the bottom we could have used also. But this is the music app. That was just the radio tab. We can search for music. We can find, different artists and albums. And let's see if I want to go to search here.
Tab bar, search.
And I can search for.
Search, heading, my account, artists, songs, lyrics, and more. Search field.
All
search,
right.
dim.
Now, once I open that search field, if I swipe to the right,
Tab bar, listen, search field is editing, dictate, button.
you're going to see
Cancel, selected, Apple Music, button, library, button, 2 of 2.
So I can choose either Apple Music or library. And of course, all of this is predicated upon me having an Apple Music subscription, which I do, praise God. So now if I want to search for the latest album by, let's say, Lauren Daigle, I can just
Search, dim.
Lauren Daigle.
Inserted Lauren Dig.
I didn't probably spell that right, but I think it'll find it when I put it. I'll just add an L there. I should probably, because it should find it. We'll hit search on the bottom right.
Search results. Lauren Daigle.
There she is.
Top results. Search results. Lauren Daigle. Artist. Button.
There's her artist page.
Rescue. Song. Middle dot.
There's a popular song.
Lauren Daigle Essentials. Playlist. Middle dot. Apple Christian. Button.
There's a playlist.
You say song.
Song.
Middle, Lauren Daigle. Album. Middle dot. Lauren Daigle.
There's an album. And so if I open that, for example, I might even be able to long press these. Never forget to check out the long press actions. But I also know that if I open this, it's got all the options.
Lauren Daigle. Lauren Daigle. But pop. Middle dot. 2023. Play. Button.
I can play the album.
Shuffle. Button.
Shuffle it.
The Lauren Daigle is already one of the most popular. More. Button. Popular track. 1.
Then it's
Thank God I Do.
Then it's got the song list. Okay. I can double tap any of these to play them. And when I do, it'll start playing immediately, but it'll have the mini player at the bottom of the screen with the playback controls. And I can double tap on that to expand it to a full screen now playing screen. Obviously, I can't play this song because we would have copyright issues posting this, but I'm just going to double tap it and then immediately do the magic tap to pause it so I can look at those playback controls to find out what that looks like. Also, if I had swiped back to the left, I wanted to show you that there was a button that I missed here in this. There's a more button.
More button.
And here's
add to library button.
So I can add her album to the library right now. I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Selected 2 St. Ferdinand.
Now,
back, but downloaded button.
You'll notice that it changed to download instead of add to library. All right, if I choose one of these tracks.
Lauren Daigle. More. Popular track. 1. Thank God I Do. Popular. Back.
All right, and I already paused it, so we know. Make sure that I did actually get it started, but I think I did. Yeah, there we go. So it's paused. So now what I can show you is that at the bottom of the screen, just to the left of the, well, it's just really a little above the tab bar, but I'll go to the leftmost tab.
Tab bar. Listen now. Mini player. Next track. Button.
Swipe to the left.
Play. Button. Thank God I Do.
And there's next track and play. And if I double tap on the name of the song,
Thank God.
It brings up
Dismiss now playing screen button.
The full screen player, because I want to show that to you a little. And go to the right now. We have a whole different set of options here.
Thank God I Do. Lauren Daigle. Favored button.
We can favorite this particular song by double tapping that.
More button.
There's more options. Let's see what they are.
View credits button. Delete from library. Download button. Add to a playlist button.
Add to a playlist. That's good to know.
Share song button.
Share song.
Share lyrics button.
Share the lyrics.
Go to album. Create station. Favored button. Suggest less. Report a concern. Dismiss context menu.
Lots of choices there. And by the way, many of these were available if we had long pressed on the song instead of double tapping it as well. But I wanted to show it to you from the now playing screen.
Thank God. Lauren Daigle. Favored. More.
Okay,
button.
let's keep going.
Selected. Instrumental break. Button. I've seen love come, and I've seen love walk away. So many questions. Will anybody stay?
Now, why did it say instrumental break? Because basically it's the lyrics and they're time synced lyrics. So it's going to tell you whatever's selected. If I were to play a little bit of the song, but I'm going to have to turn the volume down so that you can't hear it because we can't have it on our podcast or we'll have copyright issues. But I'll let it play for a few seconds. And when it gets to the words, you'll see that that is no longer what was selected there. I have to let it play a little. So, okay, it's now I got some words. So now let's go pause it and show you here now.
Selected, more favored, selected. I've seen love come, and I've seen love walk away. Button.
See, so now it moved on and that was selected. It's not an instrumental break anymore. And you can read the rest of the lyrics, but
so many questions. Will anybody stay?
And basically, again, these will automatically be selected as the song plays. So it's time synced. It's great for karaoke parties. If you have an Apple TV, you can do that. It's a lot of fun. Let's go past all the lyrics here because I want to show you what else is on this screen. Not every song has lyrics, but a lot of them do.
Track position, vocal vertical, written by Alicia Moore.
After the credits.
Vertical scroll bar, 6 pages.
We'll scroll through those, but now keep going over here. Listen to this.
Swipe up or down with one vertical scroll. Vocal volume off button.
Okay. Vocal volume off. If you double tap this, it enables even more karaoke features where you can actually turn down the volume of the singer. The lyrics are displayed on screen and synced in time with the music, and the vocal volume is turned way down. So you really do have a karaoke experience. Again, not every song supports this. So if you find one that doesn't, don't be alarmed because not every one of them does, but a lot of them do. Many of them do. But again, you have to have Apple Music. So that's a lot of fun.
Track position, 19 seconds to 4 minutes, 18 seconds, adjustable.
That's just.
Swipe up or down with one finger to adjust the value.
And it tells you how to do it. That's just a typical scrub bar. Swipe up with one finger or down with one finger to jump, or you can double tap, hold, and slide to go by bigger increments even within the song. And then here,
Dolby.Atmos.
It shows you this is playing in Dolby Atmos.
Previous track, play, button, next track.
There's
button.
your next and previous and play buttons.
Volume, 100%, selected, lyrics, button, playback destination, iPhone, button.
There's your AirPlay option, so you can, pick a different device if you want.
Play next, autoplay, on, button.
It's going to show you what's playing next, and if you wanted to automatically do that.
Play next.
All right. So you have different options depending on the song here. And you could even, if you were playing, I could hide these lyrics and it might show other options, right? Because we can repeat and shuffle and stuff on albums. But it's just an overview of the now playing full screen experience. You can Z scrub out or up at the top.
Dismiss now playing screen.
Just tap on that. And we're back. We're back to the regular music app. So again, today is sort of just an overview of some of these. It's not meant to teach you every step of the way because there's no way we can do that. But I want to show you that these patterns that we're used to. So that was, of course, the music app, and you'll see that the TV and books apps are set up very similarly. So let's open TV for a moment.
TV. It's the great.
Okay, I'm in tab bar at the bottom here.
Tab bar selected. Watch now. Originals store. Library. Search. Tab 5 of 5.
It sounds very, very similar, doesn't it? Not exactly the same, but very similar. Watch now. Listen now. Right? Same thing. So watch now has things I've been watching already. If I go up to the top, heading navigation is great here.
Watch every crucial playoff match. Watch every containers. Headings. Apple event. Up next. Watch now. Heading.
All right, I'm at the top.
Heading. Watch now. Add to up next button.
It's promoting something up here. It's trying to show me.
Account settings.
But
it's the Great Pumpkin. Charlie Brown.
Yep,
image.
it's promoting
text in front of an illustration of an orange background. It's the.
Okay, that's,
Pumpkin.
Halloween. Let's look over here with headings.
Explore animation. Up next. Heading.
This is the up next section. Things we've been watching. We actually did watch the Great Pumpkin the other day. But here.
America's Funniest Home Videos. New S34. E4. Hulu. Button. Friends. Continue S1. E3, 9-minute left, max, 56% complete, time remaining, 9 minutes, button. Actions available. SpongeBob SquarePants, continue S1, E12, Paramount Plus, Everybody Loves Raymond, next S4.
Okay, so you get the idea. Things that we have been watching are right here in the up next queue, and we can just choose any of these. Again, we can search, and when we search, it's going to search across all of the integrated apps that we have with the TV app. So not only on Apple, which of course Apple includes the iTunes store for the purchasing of movies and TV shows and movie rentals, but it also includes Apple TV Plus. And then not only does it search Apple, but it also searches any third-party services you might have, like Peacock, Max, Paramount Plus, and maybe even Paramount Plus with Showtime if you have that version of it. Disney Plus, Hulu, even your if you have a cable provider like Xfinity, like we do, that supports the TV app, it'll search Xfinity Stream. So this is probably the best way to find movies and shows. You have the library tab for anything you've purchased, rented. You have the store tab. So all of these different ways. And of course, the Watch Now tab has so much in it that allows you to find and discover new content as well. But again, the point here is the pattern. It's very, very similar to the music app. And the last one I want to show you for today is I want to show you the Books app. We're going to start out by seeing that it's the same pattern again. Now let's
edit, wallet, home, help, podcast, app, books. Today's reading, 5 minutes left, button.
Okay, let's look at the tab bar again first.
Tab bar, selected, read now, library, bookstore, audiobooks, search, tab.
Notice it's very similar and always little subtle differences, but you have in this case, read now. It said read now, but read now instead of watch now or listen now. And then you have a library tab. That's all the books you own. And then you have store tabs for the bookstore and the audiobook store. You have a search tab that searches across all of it. And the read now tab displays things you've been reading recently. I'll give you a demo because I happen to have written a book, so we won't have any copyright issues here.
Read now. Today's reading, continue.
So today's reading is a reading goal that you can set for how much you read each day.
Continue. Heading, Apollo 13 by James Lovell and Jeffrey Kluger, 1% completed. Actions available. Top picks, heading. Audiobooks you might like. Suggestions based on audiobooks you've purchased or listened to.
All right, so
continue.
Continue. It only has one book here right now showing up, so I need to search for my Titanic book, or rather, I'll use. How am I going to do that? I will. I'll search for it. Probably
search
as quick as anything. I can go to collections because in the library I have it in a collection, but we'll just.
Search, computers and internet, heading, dictate, button, books and audiobooks, search field, search
different
field,
categories
search
there.
field.
Okay, we're just going to type Titanic, and we'll type my last name because that's going to make it really, really easy to find once we do that. All right, so.
Titanic, the most complete story ever told, unabridged, by Matthew Audiobooks, button.
There's the audio version.
Titanic, the most complete story ever told by Matthew Grayson Albrecht. Titanic, the most tab.
And there's the print version, digital version. We'll look at both because, again, I own the copyright here to this, so I don't have to worry about this. So we can long press these, or we can use the rotor.
Activate default
for context options, but I'm just going to double tap on it.
Titanic bulb close button.
And now if we swipe to the right,
cover image, a blue book cover with white and blue text. Titanic. 100 acres ago, mountain of ice versus the largest ship afloat. Do you know what really happened that night? Could the ship have been saved?
Okay, it's reading the cover image text. That's cool, praise God, but we're going to keep swiping here to the right.
Titanic. The heading not found. Author, Matthew, gift, button.
You can gift the book.
More actions, button.
More actions, which has all kinds of options like sharing a link to it and so forth.
Read, button.
It says read because I already own it. If I didn't already own it, it would have a price there where I could buy it.
Want to read, off, button.
Want to read adds it to a specific collection so I can easily find it.
Sample button.
I can download a sample of it without paying for it.
Save books for later. Add books you're interested in to want to read, and then view the collection later in Read Now. Close button. View the audiobook.
Notice
Titanic, the most complete story ever told, unabridged, by Matthew Vollebrecht.
And praise God, I didn't even know that had happened. I was hoping it would. They've associated my audio version with the digital version, so you can view the audiobook here. But let's...
Narrated by James Michael Shetler.
See, it's showing you that.
Listen button.
We can listen to it because I already own it.
Publisher description.
All right,
Heading.
here's the description of the book now.
More than 100 years have gone by since the tragic sinking of the Titanic, and yet the story of the great ship continues to haunt and captivate us. Our curiosities range from musings like...
Okay, we're not going to read the whole description, but I'm going to go back and open the book so we can show you what it's like to read it.
Page 1 of library books audiobook requirement version more on board the Titanic.
Okay, let me go back down here. I went. Here we go.
Get more read.
Read.
Button. Titanic, the most complete story ever told.
Now it's loading, and I should be ready
2
to go.
pages left in
Okay,
chapter.
there it's ready. Now, I'm in. It syncs your progress across devices again with iCloud, so your bookmarks, and you don't even have to put a bookmark if you just stop and leave the app or the book. It will hold your place for you, but you can make bookmarks for other reasons and notes and highlights. And so that's all synced. Let's go to the top of the screen here.
Now 2 pages left in chapter. Close button.
There's the close button.
Heading. Actions available. It has now been almost 10 years since I officially began my work on the book you are about.
Okay, that's the forward. Let's go to the right.
Indeed, the book in that light, the truth is, it is the subject, not me or my level.
So these are all parts of that page as you swipe to the right. And if you want to do a continuous read, what you do is you do a 2-finger swipe down, and it will read and automatically turn the pages for you. But right now, I just want to...
When I was in the first grade, page 3 of 161, adjustable.
And we can swipe up or down with 1 finger there to turn the page, or we can use a page turning motion to double tap and hold and slide left and right. And then
orientation lock not locked button.
We can lock the orientation.
Double tap to lock screen orientation. Menu button. Menu button.
And there's the menu. What's in that?
Menu. Dynamic island and cellular dynamic themes.
Here we go.
Position. Table of contents 1%. Page 3 of 161 button. Adjustable.
So that will bring up the table of contents. We also have other options.
Search book button.
Search within the book, and that'll also search on Google and Wikipedia.
Themes and settings button. Share button. Orientation lock off. Bookmark off. Bookmark off.
Okay, different choices there. And bear with me for just 1 second, and I'll be right back. Wanted to say hello to my son there. So let's choose the table of contents.
Position, table of contents 1%. Activate to dismiss pop-up window.
Now, what you have is
Titanic, close button.
Get out of it if you don't want to.
Copyright. Page 2, selected. Forward. Page 3, indentation level 0. Dedications. Page 6, excerpt. Page 8, 1. Where it all began, page 9, 2, impressively grand, incredibly vulnerable, page 21, indentation level 0.
See all these chapters, and so if I want to jump to chapter 1,
where it all began,
double tap,
page 9, menu, button.
Tap near the top of the screen, 4-finger single tap even.
Go back page 3, 11 pages left in chapter, close, 1, where it all began, heading level 1. Actions available. Use the rotor to access highlights, headings.
Go to the right.
1898. Actions available.
Right.
The book was called Futility, and the fledgling young author who penned it was Morgan Robertson. It was a fictional story about a great and glorious ship called the Titan. At 800 feet long.
Now, again, I could have done a 2-finger swipe down to read. I also want to show you that you can select some text here. Let's see.
characters for the book was called futility and E.
Here's a word called fledgling.
Space F.
We can go.
Words, lines, text selection, word selection, fledgling, selected.
All right, now we go out of that.
Highlights, edit.
Look under edit.
Highlight, add note, look up, search, translate, share, copy, highlight, add note.
If I want to know what that word means,
look up,
look it up.
Sheet grabber, button. Fledgling, heading, close, button. Black and red text on a white background. Fledgling, novel by Octavia Butler. About, heading. Fledgling is a science fiction vampire novel by American writer.
Okay, that's not what we want. That's a different use case. But if we keep going, we'll get other choices.
Facts, heading. Links. Wikipedia, dictionary, heading.
Here we go. That's what we want, the dictionary, to see what the word means.
Flag, middle dot, link, vertical line, modifier, vertical line, fledgling, and G, vertical line, noun, bullet, a young bird that has just fledged. New Oxford American Dictionary. Fledgling, vertical line, noun, bullet, chick, Oxford American Writers Thesaurus. Fledgling, vertical line, fled as liang, vertical line.
형용사, 구분점 신생인, 초보인, 햇병아리인, 걸음마 단계인.
Oh, what language that is.
Fledgling, vertical line, modifier, vertical line, FL, Latin small letter opening, DSLIA, vertical line, noun, 1. Pululo 2. Novato /Novata.
So that's a different language.
Siri suggested
but
website.
The fledgling that we had was the first one compared to like a young bird. And that word, of course, is like, young and just starting out. So that's
definition of fledgling. Merriam-Webster.com/dictionary/fledgling button.
And if we want that, we can double tap on it.
Fledgling. Dictionary.com/browse/fledgling.
So you can actually double tap on any of these to get to the web result. So this is a great way to look up things that you don't know the meaning of. And in some cases, you're going to get more than just the dictionary, as you can see. But that's again, a great feature. You can customize what you get too, by the way, in your settings. So when we're done with that, we can just hit the close button.
Close button. Page 9 of 1. The book was called Futility. And
now we're back on the actual the book. And then I can
11 close button.
Close that one. We're done with it.
Close.
And then the last demo that I have for you before we go to our questions is simply the audio version of this, because you can play audiobooks too in the Apple Books app. So
get more red, want, sample, save book, close, view the audiobook. Titanic, narrated by James Michael Shetler. Listen button.
Thing is the incredible and overwhelming response the book has received. People of all ages have indicated that they have found it to be both enjoyable.
And remember, I own the copyright to this. I was partway through in the forward again, it sounds like. Let's just look at the screen.
Go forward 15 seconds. Play. Go backward 15 seconds. Button.
I'm swiping to the left. Let's go back to the top here.
Close button. Track 2. More actions button. Share audiobook button. Add to want to read. Add to collection. Mark as still reading. Edit finished date. But view and store. Rate and review. Suggest more like this. Suggest less like this. Remove. Dismiss context menu.
That was the more menu.
Track more at Titanic. The most complete book position. 14% at 9.0%.
All right, we went back to the beginning.
Played 6 hours, 54 minutes left. To play 8 minutes, 30 seconds.
So the first measure was how much is left in the total book. It's about a 7-hour book.
6 hours.
It's actually
54 minutes.
6 hours and whatever, 54 minutes. But then to play in this chapter is 8 minutes.
To play, go backward 15 seconds. Play, go forward 15. Volume, 1. Playback speed, normal speed. Sleep, button. Airplay, button. Table of contents, button.
And I can go
contents.
there to get to the real beginning of the book.
Close. Track 1, 30 seconds. Track 2, 8 minutes. Track 1.
See, now we're at the real beginning of the book.
Close.
Now we
button.
can hit play.
Volume, go play, button. Pause.
Titanic, the most complete story ever told. Written by Matthew Volbrecht. Narrated by James Michael Shetler. Forward. It has now been almost 10 years since I officially began my work on the book you're about to read. I remember the moment I completed the process of submitting the book to various online bookstores.
Okay, so
Play.
we understand how that works and how easy that is to use. And when we're finished,
Track close button.
we just hit close.
Mini player. Titanic. The most complete story ever told on a bridge.
You see that there's a mini player in the Books app, and that has in it
Go backward 15 seconds. Play. Tab bar. Read now. Tab.
that has in it the go back and the play button. And also what we can sometimes do is we can actually open if we lock the phone, we get the lock screen or the notification center. You have
Go track position. iPhone. Matthew Volbrecht. Track 2. Play. Track position. 16 seconds of 8 minutes. Go backward 15. Play. Button. Go forward 15 seconds. AirPlay audio. Button. Show notifications. Button.
So you have these same options on even the lock screen if you want to access it that way. So this particular class today, was a little bit different than some of our other ones and a little bit different than some of the ones coming up. But very, I think, important because we showed you some of these apps that, we're just sort of building this idea of all of these built-in apps. And then our Wednesday labs are going to have some third-party apps and so forth as we go forward. But, we're getting the idea of all of these apps and how accessible they are, how easy they are to use, and how they often conform to a pattern that we're already familiar with. All three of these apps were tab apps, which we've learned about tabbed apps from day one, right? Pretty much almost. And these three had a very similar look as each other because they all had this sort of familiar listen now or watch now or read now in the first tab, and then the library and other things that you also can find. We also looked at Siri today, and we also looked at share sheets.
So in terms of asking Siri on the iPhone, it's a good idea, but why would she display a website on the screen instead of giving you the answers that you need?
Well, it depends on whether or not the answer is in a format that can be parsed into something that she can easily recite. And that is based upon all of the different databases that Apple uses to get its information. So when I asked her the first question that I asked about the president of the United States that wasn't the first question, but whatever, in the 1960s, there was an easy answer from a database on whitehouse.gov that she was able to, to get that information. The other one probably was just the way that it was worded. It wasn't something she was easily able to see or whatever. But in those cases, then there are usually, several websites that are displayed on the screen, and you can pick the one that you want. And a lot of times you don't even have to double tap to open the website, because a lot of times it'll just be in the text of the snippet or the results that are shown there. But then you can always double tap to get the full site.
Let's say you have sheets on here that is old. How would I be able to delete them?
So you mean that certain suggestions on the share sheet might be
like I made a list out of different people and they're no longer here, and I made a new sheet without their names on it, but yet their names are still on the old one. So I was wondering how to delete that.
Well, there are, like, the share sheet itself is going to display any apps that you have installed. So there are certain, if you're not using a particular app and you delete that app, that will take it away. And then also, I think if you have a share sheet suggestion, like a person's name who you no longer want to see on a share sheet, you can long press on that name, double tap and hold on it, or triple tap on it, and choose suggest less. And it may or may not instantly go away, but it will influence that. So those are about the two ways.
It didn't, because the lady keep telling me that she's getting messages from my
now, is this a list that you made in your contacts, or is this something that you're just double tapping on when it comes up? Because there could be a difference there. Because remember, now they've enabled us to make group lists, or they call it something else. Matt, what do they call it in contacts now? It's a list, or is it?
They call it lists. Yeah, it sounds like she's talking about something slightly different than what we're saying, right,
okay.
Cliff?
Yeah, because at first when she started talking about it, I thought she was talking about maybe she had a list of names and she would just copy and paste, but that's not the issue, is it, Misty?
No. I had made a share sheet with a group of people, and like
what were you sharing?
My line dance.
So is it a Zoom link? Is it a note? What is it that you're actually sharing?
It's in the message, and I have some in notes.
Okay,
so those would be group conversations. Yeah,
right. So what you're doing is you're double tapping on that conversation when you want to share something with them. Okay, so what you want to do there then is you want to go into that group conversation, and if there's somebody you want to remove, you got to go into the list, swipe up, and delete that person from the conversation. Otherwise, they're going to continue to get it.
Well, I did do that, and it has her name not in there, but the person is still texting me, telling me that they're still getting info from.
I've never seen that happen, Matt. Have you? Because I was gonna say maybe that person has to delete the conversation, but once you remove them, they shouldn't get any more messages.
Well, that's correct. If it would be going into conversation details, exactly like you said, Cliff, swipe up or down on it, remove it. The only way that I could see that maybe not working
is it an Android person?
If that's what I was going to say, exactly. If it's not an Apple user.
A couple of them are not an Apple user.
Okay, then that is probably why then, because with group chats or group conversations, if it's all Apple, then removing them is fine. But when you got mixture of that other platform, you're gonna have to start a whole new group conversation and delete the old one.
That's correct.
So what you would have to do is go into that group conversation or act like you're gonna start a new message, get to the old group conversation, swipe past it, go to more info, and then delete it from your recents.
My question concerns the in a way, the calendar. What you mentioned last week about scheduling events, and about what you were talking about, Siri itself. Concerning Siri, concerning calendar, I have several calendars that for some time now I have been using just one general calendar, but there are some events that are listed that were recurring events and that are listed in under different names in the calendar. But what I did is because I have had issues with items that I schedule on my iPad or that I schedule on my iPhone, and they do not appear in the other. If I do it in the iPad, it doesn't appear in the iPhone. If I do it in the iPhone, it doesn't appear in the iPad. And
what calendar are you using? Are you using a Google Calendar or are you using an iCloud calendar?
And I'm using that's my because I think I am using the iCloud calendar, but maybe
are you signed in with two different Apple IDs?
Yeah, no. So I was going to say
no,
you have the same on both devices.
Because if you're signed in with the same Apple ID on both devices, there's no way if you're creating calendar events that in your iCloud account is your default calendar on both devices, that it should not be creating those accounts, those events.
I think what you said at the beginning of the statement is probably where the issue lies, is that there are different calendars. You go into settings, you go into calendar, and then you go into accounts. And scroll through on both devices and listen to what they say. And if you hear something like iCloud, and it might not even say calendar, but it might say mail, contacts, photos, and 7 others or something like that. And then if you want to see that, you can find out which one the 7 others are. But chances are it is calendars, because that's one of the default ones. So it's probably on for iCloud. But then if you keep swiping to the right and you hear like Google or Gmail and it says mail, calendars, notes, that means that Google is also syncing calendars. So then the question becomes, then you have to figure out which calendar these things are getting added to. And one of the first ways that I suggest people go about figuring that out is to go to settings and calendar and see what the default calendar is on each device, because it may be different on each device. If accidentally, let's say you do have Gmail turned on for calendars, and let's say on your iPad, the default calendar is Gmail, and on iPhone, it's an iCloud calendar like home or family or work. Well, obviously, that's two totally different, not only two different calendars, but two different calendar services or calendar accounts. And so therein lies the problem if both devices are not showing both calendars. So then what you have to do is, once you've determined where things are getting added, and you can also go to a particular event and see what calendar it's on. But finding the default calendar is a good start, because then you'll know, well, if I don't change it, it's going to this and it's not going to that. You can look at specific events too on the calendar and see what it says they're on. Once you have figured that out, then you need to find out what's different about the other device. And it could be that calendar is not even turned on that device. Like if it is Gmail, for example, it could also be that the calendar is simply hidden. So if you go into the calendar app now before we were in settings and calendar, but if you actually go into the calendar app and you go down to the bottom and choose calendars, if you don't have it on show all, it may just be that one of the calendars is hidden or turned off, in which case you're not going to see its events. You're not going to get its alerts. You're not going to have, it's just going to act as though it doesn't even exist. And so you may just need to turn it on. So there are several different things to check. And this is why we always recommend to customers that whenever it's possible, just use iCloud and don't add calendars for the other types of accounts. But sometimes people need to for one reason or another. There's absolutely no reason why you can't run more than one calendar service simultaneously on a device. In fact, I do it just so that I can display calendar events on our Nest display, although I hardly ever do it, so I don't even know why I still have it in there. But the important thing, if you're going to do that, is to really understand where things are going and make sure that everything is the same on all the devices, because something is either not turned on or it's hidden. As Cliff said, if it is set up correctly, as then we would expect it to sync. So all right, thanks again, everybody.
We'd like to thank you again for joining Voiceover In&Out 2023. Didn't get your question answered? Need additional training? Send us an email at support@ttjtech.biz or support@stiritup.com. And remember, stir is spelled with the U. That's STURITUP.com. I'm Trainer Cliff. Thanks for joining us, and see you next time. God bless.